Former Los Angeles Dodgers pitcher Fernando Valenzuela had one of the most accomplished and historic careers in Major League Baseball history. His stardom has been long documented, but just to name a few accolades: 17 seasons in the big leagues, 173 victories, a Rookie of the Year award, a Cy Young award, and his impact on the community was so grand, it spun the phenomenon known as Fernando Mania. While many watching right now are familiar with Valenzuela, are you aware of what might possibly be the greatest game of his career? It's not his no-hitter, not his World Series complete game, and not any one of his many shutouts. It wasn't just possibly the greatest game he ever pitched, it was part of one of the greatest pitchers' duels of the 1980s. The game in question occurred on September 6, 1985, when the Los Angeles Dodgers hosted the visiting New York Mets. For the Dodgers, this game was important for them. With 32 games left in the regular season, they held a strong 8.5 game lead over the second place Cincinnati Reds for first in the West Division. Yes, 8.5 games is a big lead, but certainly not impossible for a team to overtake. As recently as this year in 2024 did a team do just that. The Detroit Tigers were exactly 8.5 games out of the wild card with 32 left to play. Certainly, the Dodgers were not in panic mode, but they couldn't just coast the rest of the season. They needed to win as many games as they could down the stretch to ensure their ticket to the playoffs. And as crucial as this game was for Los Angeles, it was even more critical for the Mets. New York had 30 games left to play, and entered this one in second place, 1.5 games behind the St. Louis Cardinals in the East Division. Obviously, a Mets victory here would matter significantly more, since they needed to overtake St. Louis to finish in first place. There was no wildcard in 1985. You had to win your division to make the playoffs. Winning this game would not be easy though for New York, as naturally, they had to face Fernando Valenzuela. 1985 was Valenzuela's best season since his rookie year in 1981. In 28 starts entering this game, he was 16-9 with a sharp 2.37 ERA across 223 and 2/3 innings. For how incredible he was, New York starter was even better. The Mets' Dwight Gooden was in the midst of one of the greatest pitching seasons of all time. In 29 starts entering this game, he was 20-4 with a 1.81 ERA, also across 223 and 2/3 innings. With two Cy Young caliber pitchers going head to head, it should surprise nobody that neither team would muster anything offensively. Valenzuela induced 3 groundouts in the first for a 1-2-3 inning, and in the bottom half, Gooden struck out a pair for a 1-2-3 inning of his own. In the second, New York put 2 runners on base with 1 out for backup catcher Ron Reynolds. Where was the everyday catcher Gary Carter? He was the runner on second and was playing first base in this game. The everyday first baseman Keith Hernandez was not in the starting lineup, and that will be important to remember later. Anyway, Reynolds could not deliver, as Valenzuela got him to ground into a double play to escape the jam. In the bottom half, the Dodgers also put a runner on second base, but Gooden struck out Greg Brock to match Fernando through 2. Still scoreless in the fourth, the Mets put 2 runners on base again, but for the second time this game, they hit into an inning-ending 3-1 double play. In the bottom half, Gooden kept up his momentum, striking out the side for 6 Ks through 4. Valenzuela picked up his second strikeout of the game in the 5th inning, when he got Rafael Santana swinging en route to a scoreless frame. Then in the bottom half, Gooden punches out Greg Brock for the second time for 7 strikeouts through 5. Still no score. In the 6th, New York had a runner reach base with 2 outs, but Valenzuela snagged a George Foster line drive to finish the inning without allowing a run. When the Dodgers came to bat, more of the same. Gooden struck out Valenzuela for the second time, then Mariano Duncan lined out to second to keep the game scoreless through 6. In the 7th, this time it was Valenzuela that got Gooden swinging for his 4th strikeout, and he had 7 scoreless innings under his belt. Gooden returned the favor in the bottom half when Mike Marshall swung and missed for his 9th strikeout of the game, and for the umpteenth time, he finished the inning without allowing a run. Still looking for the first run of the game, the Mets had no luck in the 8th. They went down 1-2-3, courtesy of Valenzuela getting Darryl Strawberry chasing for his 5th strikeout of the day. The bottom of the 8th is where we'd finally see some action on the bases. Mike Scioscia and Greg Brock opened the inning with back-to-back singles to put 2 on with no outs. Los Angeles sent out Reggie Williams to pinch run for Scioscia, but thanks to some great defense, his time in the game would last a single pitch.
And the bunt is a beauty. Gooden to Ray Knight, and what a play by Knight.
Still runners on first and second with one out now, Fernando Valenzuela's turn at bat was due. Dodgers manager Tommy Lasorda let the pitcher bat, and swinging away on the first pitch, he grounded into a force out at second base. Interesting choice letting him swing there rather than bunt, but then again, I'm no big league manager. With 2 outs now and runners on first and third, Mariano Duncan stepped to the plate, and the Mets were bailed out by great defense for the second time.
Line drive to right field. Paciorek. What a play by Tom Paciorek.
Tom Paciorek, a journeyman outfielder who was 2 months shy of his 39th birthday, who only started this game due to injuries to other players, makes the game-saving, possibly even season-saving catch, catching the ball mid-air in the webbing of his glove and holding on as he falls to the ground. What would have been at least 1 run if not 2, Paciorek denies Los Angeles a chance to take the lead, and the game remains scoreless heading to the 9th. In the top half, Valenzuela continued to shut down New York, throwing his second consecutive 1-2-3 inning. When the bottom of the 9th started, Dwight Gooden remained in the game. With 1 out and nobody on, Mike Marshall hit a grounder to third base. Ray Knight knocks the ball down, recovers it, and throws to first, but the first base umpire ruled Marshall safe. A short argument from Mets manager Davey Johnson proved unsuccessful, and if we look at the replay, yeah, he was clearly out. An atrocious call by the umpire. If anybody is wondering who that umpire was, it was Bob Davidson. Hopefully that should surprise nobody. Going back to the game, the Mets would make up for that blown call, as in the next at-bat, they induced a strike him out, throw him out double play. It was Gooden's 10th strikeout, and this game was heading to extra innings with no score. When the 10th started, Fernando Valenzuela remained in the game, taking the mound in the ultra-rare occurrence of a starter pitching in extra innings. Would his counterpart Dwight Gooden also pitch in the 10th inning? He wouldn't, as when his turn to bat came up, he was pinched hit for. Rafael Santana drew a 1-out walk, and in to hit for Gooden was Keith Hernandez. After not starting this game, Hernandez now had the chance to drive in the go-ahead run. Why wasn't he in the starting lineup though? I promise we'll get to that later, because there's an interesting story behind it. But first, what happened in the at-bat here? Hernandez hit into an inning-ending double play, keeping the Mets off the scoreboard, and giving Fernando Valenzuela 10 shutout innings. Before I continue, I should also highlight Gooden's amazing performance. 9 shutout innings, 5 hits allowed, no walks, and an impressive 10 strikeouts. In the bottom half, Hernandez stayed in the game at first base, Gary Carter moved to catcher, and Roger McDowell took over on the mound. He would immediately run into trouble. Bill Madlock singled to lead off the frame, and then the next batter sacrificed him over to put the winning run on second base with 1 out. The next man up was intentionally walked, and with 2 on base now, Terry Whitfield was summoned to pinch hit for second baseman Steve Sachs. With a chance to walk it off, Whitfield hits into the Dodgers' 4th inning-ending double play of the game. The bombs of the 2nd, 4th, 9th, and now 10th inning all ended on double plays. For as good as the pitching has been on both sides, the defense has been just as sharp. When the top half of the next inning started, something occurred that we'll likely never see happen again. A starting pitcher took the mound in the 11th inning. Fernando Valenzuela started over 420 games in his long career, and this is the only one where he pitched into the 11th. As you can probably guess, he remained untouchable. He induced 3 groundouts for yet another 1-2-3 inning. When the bottom of the 11th started, Valenzuela was due to bat, but Len Matuza came in to pinch hit for him, thereby finally ending his outing. It goes without saying just how in control Valenzuela was all game. 11 shutout innings, 6 hits allowed, all singles, 3 walks allowed, and 5 strikeouts. It's already hard enough to throw 9 scoreless innings, but to tackle on another 2? It's the definition of dominance. Valenzuela threw 113 complete games and 31 shutouts during his time in baseball. While this game is neither a complete game nor a shutout, I think we can say that this one was more impressive than any one of those. In spite of the finest game he's ever pitched, Fernando Valenzuela came away with a no decision. In the bottom of the 11th, Los Angeles put a runner on second base with 1 out, but 2 groundouts got the Mets out of the inning, and the game remained scoreless heading to the 12th. Still nothing in the bottom of the 12th, the Dodgers led off the inning with back-to-back singles to put the winning run on second with no outs. Unfortunately for Los Angeles, their hitting struggles would continue, as they failed to drive home a run, and this game was heading to the 13th with no score. After 12 long innings, would one of these teams finally string together a rally? With Tom Niedenfuer on the mound for the Dodgers, a single, force out, then another single set up runners on second and third with 1 out. With the go-ahead run 90 feet away, the batter, Danny Heap, popped out to the catcher in foul territory for a huge second out. Following that pop-up, Darryl Strawberry was due to bat, and the Dodgers got together on the mound to discuss what to do. With first base open, intentionally walking the batter was certainly an option, and that's exactly what Mets play-by-play announcer Ralph Kiner said.
What would you do, Ralph? I'd have to walk Strawberry here.
The Dodgers decided not to issue a walk and went right after him. Strawberry would make LA pay for that, as he ripped a double down the left field line that scored the 2 runners, giving New York a 2-0 lead here in the 13th inning. The player that scored the go-ahead run was Keith Hernandez, and now is when I would like to mention why he wasn't in the starting lineup. As it turns out, Hernandez wasn't even at the ballpark when the game started. In a long documented affair that has produced several YouTube videos on the subject, there was a big cocaine scandal in Major League Baseball that led to what is now referred to as the Pittsburgh drug trials. I won't be getting into the details, but what I will say is that on the same day as this game, Hernandez testified in a Pittsburgh court. After the testimonial, but before the game started, Hernandez flew to Los Angeles and made his way to the ballpark midway through. The broadcasters even mentioned his arrival on air during the 5th inning.
Keith Hernandez has arrived at the ballpark, Jay Horowitz told us, so he'll be available for late inning replacement defensively or as a pinch hitter.
So imagine you testify in court concerning one of baseball's biggest scandals, then immediately fly thousands of miles to sub into a game you were hours late to, only to score the go-ahead run in extra innings. It was a wild day for Keith Hernandez, to say the least. Anyway, down 2-0 heading to the bottom of the 13th, the Dodgers didn't give up. A single and 2 walks load the bases with 2 outs, with Bill Madlock coming to the plate. Prior to Strawberry's double, Madlock was about the only player that did anything with the bat, as he was 4 for 5 with 4 singles entering this inning. On a 1-1 pitch to Madlock, reliever Jesse Orosco got him the pop out to who else but Keith Hernandez to finally put an end to the ballgame. In a near 4-hour showdown, it was New York who escaped with the victory, but the star of the game was undoubtedly Fernando Valenzuela. He threw what might possibly have been the greatest game of his career in a thriller of a contest in the middle of a tense playoff race, but it was all for naught as the Dodgers lost. Imagine throwing 11 shutout innings and outdueling the eventual Cy Young winner, only for your team to give you no run support. Fortunately for Los Angeles, it wouldn't come back to bite them, as they finished the season in first place, clinching a playoff spot. The Mets, on the other hand, would finish in second place and miss the postseason. Nearly 40 years ago, we saw an unbelievable performance that we'll likely never see again. A starting pitcher throwing 11 shutout innings in a single game.